So time to work on that landing page. All right, so if you're ready, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the index HTML codes here, and because I know you're not here for the HTML section, you're here for the SASS, so I'm going to try to make it as fast as I can. So in this HTML, I'm going to use emit and then do SCSS example tutorial to save. That's my name here. I already have my style sheets and the styles all set up, so I'm going to go ahead and link the styles here. So I'm going to go to link, go to style sheets, and then styles to CSS save. So now my SASS is all set up, ready to go. So let me go ahead first, create a div with a class of grid container, because we're going to use grids in this project. So everything that we're going to put here is all going to be in a grid container. This is the nav, and if I save this, I will have to open it with the live server. Body, so I have a grid container, everything going to be inside that. So for my nav, I have an h3 with the class of brand, and that is the brand pinned. And underneath the h3, I have an ul and list class. I also have an id menu. So, and then I have like the menu items here, the list with anchor tag. Okay, so that's my links. And there another one that is another div, which is account with the class. There's two h4s. One is login and one is sign up. And each one has a class because I want to design login and sign up separately. So that's my nav. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Let's get the next section here from my reference. Mobile menu. We are going to make our website landing page responsive, and it's going to get to like a mobile device view with. This nav will work. So similarly, this one right here, you see that there's no upper menu is available here, but this is what I'm talking about. This is the mobile menu. Okay, so I have the burger here. This is for this line. And I have the UL, the same links right here as well. So I put that underneath the nav. Initially, it will have a display of none. And after that, we have a hero section. We have an H1 hero title. We have a paragraph with the hero subtitle. We have a paragraph, and we have a CTA paragraph with a tag. The next section will be here for the video. This is the video section here. So it is in a div with the class of video. And the video element here, I have a width of 840. I have a height of 512. And I'm saying autoplay and a loop. So in a loop, it's continuously play. It's never going to stop. And muted. I don't want any sound from the video as well. And then here with the source is a self-closing tag. Source with a source attribute. I'm just attaching the address, which is in my assets. So I also have a folder here, assets, where all the pictures and the video that required for this project. So I'm going to the assets folder and getting the video 1 MP4. Type is video MP4. So that's the first thing for the video. And then we have this text right here. You can see filter 2021 trends by audience category. So this is a div. Also, I'm putting in a div. It is going to be a video text. And in here, I just have 2 paragraph tag. All right, that's the end of the hero and also the video. Okay, so after the video, it's time for the showcase. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So showcase also is a div with a class of showcase, and inside the div I have 10 more divs. Now let me make this a little easier to read here. Each one div has the same setup with different writings, of course. So the first div, I have showcase item, and this showcase item class is common for all the divs, and then I have item 1, item 2, item 3, all goes through item 10 class as well. So in that div, I have a P. This is fashion. This is the P class, okay, paragraph. Then I have the H1, and you see I have 2 H1s right now. Initially, it will show the first H1, which has a class of showcase H1. And if I hover over here, it's going to show the hover H1. So that's the setup for all the div right here. And get the download section. And the download section is simply another div. And this one is right here, which just has an H4 with the class of CTA download. And at the end, I have the footer, and that footer is going to be this one right here with the P paragraph tag. So that's all I have in terms of HTML. Now let's go ahead and work on our styles. I will make this bigger, and here I'm going to create some partials. So in the style sheet, I'm going to create a file here. The first one will be reset.scss. And for the recess, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and do margin 0 and padding 0 and border, actually box size, box sizing, border box. I'm also going to have transition, because every animations that's happening on my website with the hover effect, I want to have it transition effect. I'll do transition all 0.3 second, and it's going to be linear. So if I save that, and that's all for reset for now. Let's create another file, and that would be variables. I'm going to store all my variables in this file, variables SCSS. And in here, first, I am going to comment that this is going to be for colors variables, and I'm going to create 3 colors. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this. This is the 3 colors. The first primary variable, primary color is this one, secondary color is this one, and the third color is this one. And then I also will have font family. Now for this font family, I'll go ahead and open up Google Fonts. Here I will search for Poppins. Here it is. And I'll get regular 400, I'll get medium 500, and I'll get bold 700. So there we go. And I'll have the import, and I'll just copy this. This will work with my SASS file, and paste it right here. So right now I have Google Fonts Poppins available with the weight 400, 500, and 700. Let me go ahead and create that map-get variable as well. So I'm just gonna copy this. So this is the font weights, regular 400, because that's what I installed, 500 and 700. This is my variable. I can get that using map-get. I will also create a variable for primary font, and that's going to be, let me go back to this one, Poppins, and if Poppins not available, then sans serif. So if I save this, that's all I need for in terms of variables. Now I have to go to reset here, and I have to import that variables here, because I'm going to be using Poppins for everything, every font. So I'm going to say import, same here, variables, save. Now I have the variables available in the reset file, so you can do that too, partial to partial. And here I'm going to say font family, and I'm going to use the primary font here. In the styles, I have to import both of those 2 files. So I have to import reset file. Also, I have to import variables. Both. Now, if I save this, you see that immediately it changed. The font changed. Okay, so let's create the grid layout first. Let's go ahead and create the grid layout here. So I'm going to use this, create another full partials, and this is going to be grid.scss. All right, this is it. Let me make it bigger. Okay, so for the grid layout, I am going to import variables here as well, just in case if I need it. And then underneath I have, you remember that everything is under our class of grid container. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And in the grid container, I'm going to say display will be grid, save. And there shouldn't be any difference. Okay, good. And then after the grid, I will say grid template areas. I'm going to specify the grid template areas. I'll have 4 columns for this, so I'm going to go ahead and do the first one will be nav, nav, nav. So it will be 4 columns, and the nav will take the first 4 columns. Then I'm going to do hero section, same thing, take will 4 columns. I'm going to go ahead and copy the rest of it, copy paste. So basically that means if you go to my index, you see that I have a nav section, I have a hero section, I have a video showcase download. Each section will appear in like a stack, and it will take all the 4 columns here. So nav will take 4 columns, hero will take 4 columns, video, showcase, download, and footer. All right. Now the next one is going to be grid template columns. Now the grid template columns, I want to say it's going to be 4 columns, and each one will have 1 FR, so it's responsive. Let me see if there's any change so far. Of course there is not, because I haven't import my grid layout. So let me say grid save. Okay, all right, so imported the grid layout, and let's go ahead and do grid template rows. And here I'm going to basically specify the height, how much height needs to be the nav, how much height needs to be the hero section. So for that, I'm going to say nav should be 70 pixel. If you're not sure about the grid, CSS grid, I have a video. I'll link that to this one. It will be also in the description below. You can check that out. But with the rows here, I'm basically defining the height, the vertical height of each element here. Okay, so the first nav should take 70 pixel, and then for hero section, I'll use a min max. So minimum, it would have like 100 pixel, and maximum it will take 80 view height. Okay, and then for the next one, for the video section, I will also use a min max here, and that would be 500 pixel, and then max would be 700 pixel. And for the showcase section, I will use 3 FR, okay, 3 fraction. And for the download section, we will use 50 pixel. And for the footer section, I'll be using another min max, and that would be 100 pixel minimum, and then max would be 20 view height. So if I save this, I have a grid system available. The template is set up. Now I have to attach each element that grid area. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing, I have a nav, so I can select the nav, and you can see these are all. This nav is just an element, so it's not a class. Everything else will be a class. So nav will have a grid area of nav. Save this. Let's go ahead and copy this. And with the nav, I'll have the class hero, which will also have the hero area from here. So I kept the same name for ease of use. Footer last. So footer is not a class, it's the element. And I'll have a grid area of footer. So save. All right, so I have the basic layout of the grid. Now let's close the reset variables and the grid. Now let's work on the nav only. So I'll open the nav, and I'll work on the nav, and I will make sure to have it side by side. I will first create, because I will need this flex box, and here I'll have display flex, I'll have justify content of space between, and I will have line items of center. Okay, good. And now let's go ahead and grab nav. And here first I'm gonna do, so right now I am styling this section right here. So I'm gonna include the flex box here, save, and you can see it's now all side by side. And after that, I am going to use the color and the color variable will be primary. Okay, so I took the primary color. All right, I will also have a background, and the background will take secondary color. There you go. I will do position because I don't want it to like right now you can see that it goes away. I want that to stick. So for that I will use position sticky and give it a top 0. Basically I'm saying that, hey, stay at the top. You see right now it does stay at the top. All right, that's good. Now it's going with this one though, but we'll fix that later. But right now it's I have a position of sticky. I'll also give it a z index. I want this nav to always on top of every other element. So I'll give z index of 4 here. All right, that's good. Now I am going to go ahead and give this brand. You can see right now the brand is way up on the left hand side. There is no space, so is the account div here. So let's fix that, and I'm going to use nesting. So since everything is within the nav element, I can just grab the class here, and I'm just going to give it a margin left of 20 pixel. There you go, there's some margin right now here. I'm also going to give this a cursor pointer. So there we go, it has a cursor pointer. After nav, I want now is work with the nav list, which is this one right here, the UL. And you can see that the UL actually has a class of nav list. So I'm going to work on nav list, open up curly braces, and here I'm going to use the same flexbox. So I'm going to include again flexbox, save, and you see that it's side by side. Now I have to make this a little bigger here so you can see, and after I include the flexbox, I'm going to get rid of that list style, and that would be none. Okay, and after that I will have a width of 500 pixel, so there's some space in between. Okay, and under their nav list, now I'm going to go ahead and target the list here, which has also a class of nav items, so I can further nest in the nav list as well, and that's going to be nav items. And here in nav items, I'm going to further deep down and nest this anchor tag. So I'm going to say anchor, and here I'm going to use the color, and that would be primary color, save. You see now this is the same color as this one's. I will also get rid of this underline here. So I'll say text decoration, none, save, goes away. I will have a position relative, and this position relative is because I'll show you the ending results here. You can see that if I hover over, there's a line that comes in. Okay, this is done by pseudocode after, and I'll show you how to do that. And this is position, this underline is position absolute, and for that reason this A, its parent, because I'm going to use A after, so A would be its parent. Position I will say relative for that animation to work. And here I'm going to use font weight, and I can use, let's say, map dash get, and here I can say, let's get rid of this, let's see, font weights, and then here I can just say regular. All done. Now let's go ahead and fix this account. So I will go out of this nav list here. So this is right here. All right, so I'm gonna create, I'm gonna grab the class, which is account. And for the account, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to include flexbox here as well. And you can see right here, it's now side by side. I'm going to give it a width. So there's a little bit of space, and that will be 150 pixel. Save. There you go. That's some space in between them. And I'll also have a margin right, because right now it is all the way up against the right border. I want to do a margin right here. Same 20 pixel. Save. There it is. Okay. All right. Now here I will get further nest and choose login. And login will have the same effect as this menus here. You can see that it is also have this line. So for that reason, I will also do like a cursor, first cursor pointer, and then I'll also add a position of relative to login as well. Okay, now let's work on the hover. So you see that if I hover here, the background changes into the primary color, which is this, and every other writings here, or the links or menus here, change it to the secondary color. Let's go ahead and do that. So for that, I can use nav. I can do the hover instead here in the nesting as well. So I can just do like n. N basically means ampersand, basically means that, hey, this is the nav. You can do that. N% hover. And for that, you will use, I'm gonna say, hey, once it hover, I want the background color to be a primary color. Save. See, now if I hover, it's a primary color, and it is have a transition because I used transition on the reset. All right, and I want to make this important. That's because it doesn't matter what, because later on we'll add JavaScript and we'll change the color here as well. So I always want this color to be primary color. So that's why I'm specifically saying it's important. Ignore anything else. Always have, if it's hover, always have the background color to it's set to primary color. And then I will do color needs to be a secondary color. So if you see, if I hover now, you see this one's now takes a secondary color on the hover, but not the A, not the links. Now I have to change that as well here. So in here, n% and hover here, I can actually grab this A, Nav Items A. I can do that, and I can do that simply saying Nav Items and A, and simply put it here that, hey, this one, once it's hover, grab this one as well and change that color to secondary color. So if I save now, you will see that now everything changes to the secondary color. So I'm using n% in nesting and invoking hover. And here in the hover curly braces, I'm also targeting the class of nav A. Okay, because this one, because if I comment this, you see right now, this one's not changed, the color is not changing. So that's why I am specifically targeting this and saying that, hey, this needs to change color as well. Now it's changed. Look at that, and it has nice linear transition to it. Let's change the body background to all secondary colors. So I'll go back to the reset here, and I will go here. I will say body background is going to be secondary color. So save, and you see all it's now the secondary peach color. I guess it's a peach color. Okay, get rid of this reset here, and now it's time for our hero section. Well, let's go ahead and instead of hero section, let's actually implement all the animation that goes on here. Let's do that. So for this, I'm going to go ahead, create another partials. Let me make it bigger. And this is going to be animations. CSS. And in animations, let me go ahead and import that right away. And in animations, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab A universally, and then I'm going to use pseudocode after. So I want to add something after it. So this A, I want to add a line after this. That's the concept here. I'm going to say content empty string, so this is just a quotation, don't do nothing. I'm going to specify the dimension here in a moment. So I'm going to say width will be 100%. Width will be 100% because I want the line to take exact width of this anchor tag. Let's go back. And here I will say position. Now this position is actually going to be absolute. And here I'm going to say height. It's going to be 1.5 pixel. And background color, I will say for that I actually need to import my variables here as well. So I'm going to do secondary color, and because I am positioning is absolute, I have to specify its position. I want this one to bottom 0. I want it to be left 0 as well. You can see right here there is an after. Right now you don't see it right here. It's there because of the color, it's the same color. But if we hover, you can see that now it looks like this. Now, if you don't put this left and bottom, like if I comment this, save, you see now it is on the top, on the right hand side. So that's why you want to mention that, hey, I want this on the bottom, so let's make bottom 0 and the left 0. Now I want to do transform scale X, so horizontal scale. At first I want to say tell it to 0. So now if you go back, you see there's nothing, so it's 0. So I want to come back from like 0 and start from left to 100%. That's to 1 because I'm using scale. That's the concept here. So for that I will say, first of all, let's add a transition here. And when I want to transition the transform, and we'll use same here, 0.3 seconds linear, and transform origin. I can use transform origin, and it should origin from left. So I'm not going to nest this right now. I'm going to go ahead a hover after. So when it's hover after, do this. Just take this transform, and instead of 0, make it 1. If I save this, now if you go back, you see it working as designed. Now I want to show you one thing here. If you don't want this transform origin to be left, save, it will start from the center, and that's cool too. So if it depends on whichever you prefer. Like you can also do like from right, it will start from the right. So if you don't specify anything, it's going to start from the center and then spread out. Okay, now I want to do the same thing with the login here. Okay, now as you know, so let's work on the login as well. And we know, as you know, we have the option to extend. So I want to do the same exact thing but with the login. So I'm going to go ahead, grab the login class, and I'm going to do after, open parentheses. I want to do exact same thing, so I can just easily do it with extend. If you go back here, you see I have the same exact effect. All right, now let's go design the sign up, and then we'll call it a day for the nav section here. For sign up to work, I will also, this is a call to action button. So I will create yet another partial, and I'm going to name this CTA.SCSS. And here in CTA, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to import the variables. Choose the class sign up. Open curly braces. So for the sign up, I'm going to have a border first. It's going to be 2 pixel, solid, and primary color. Save. Okay. Nothing working because I forgot to import this one here. So let's do that. Import. And this one, it will be CTA. Save. Let's see what's going on. I can always check here and see if there's a compilation error. There it is, compilation error, and it's saying the CTA, it did not find the CTA, because instead of naming CTA, I actually named that CTS. So let me fix that here, and now save. Now it's generated, so now in compilation there is no error. Now you can see there's the border right there. Okay. All right, let's go back to CTA here. Now I want to introduce a border radius, and then border radius will be 20 pixel. Looks like this. Then I am going to add, because there's no padding at all, so let me go ahead and add some padding, and I'm going to do like a 0.4 EM. Okay, that looks nice. And I'm going to do transition. I will also add all 0.3 second linear. Save. So any hover or anything happens, it should have a transition to it. It needs to have a cursor pointer. And now let's do something. So if I go to my finished product, here you can see if I hover over, this is the background changes, but if I hover over here, this background changes as well. So let's work on that. Right now, if I hover, the border disappears. So we're gonna fix that. So right now we're gonna do cursor pointer and % hover. And here I'm gonna say background color should be secondary color. And color should be primary color. Save. Now look at that. Okay, so one problem here, if I hover over the nav, you see that the background, not the background, the border of the sign up disappears because it has the same color. All right, let's fix that. Let's go back to style.scss, and here, while we're count hover, I will also get the sign up, and here I will change the border. And say the same thing. It's going to be 2 pixel, solid, and it's going to have the secondary color. And this needs to be important. So if I save this now, you see now the border does come in. All right. So our nav menu is almost done for the big screen, not for the mobile. You can see it all breaks up at some point. We'll work on the mobile later, but this video is getting very long. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video today right here. And then when I come next, we'll work on the mobile responsive. In fact, we're going to work on the mobile responsive at the very end of the project. Next up, we're going to work on the hero section, get everything set up with the hero and the video and everything. So hopefully you like this video. If you do, yeah, let me know. Give me a like. And also, if you're not subscribed, subscribe and look forward to the next one because we're gonna finish this project. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.